There's a cat over here. There's a cat over there. And the wrong one died. And the wrong one died.
Welcome to The Wrong Cat Died, the podcast breakdown of the catastrophe. I'm your host, Mike Abrams, and today we have another amazing guest. You will be seeing her in New York, which is opening on Broadway on April 26th. But before that, she was Rumpleteazer in the 2016 Broadway Revival of CATS. So welcome, Haley Fish, and thank you for joining me.
Hello, happy to be here.
I'm excited to hear a little bit about the new show, but more importantly, to talk about Rumpleteazer, because I have a lot of new thoughts on that after talking to a couple different cast members, and I think my thoughts have evolved on Rumpleteazer.
Okay,
and so
we're interested
gonna
to
make
know
you
your
go
take.
way back.
Okay, yeah, maybe some notes on how I could have done it differently. Or...
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
Yeah.
Totally.
We
it's
talk
all
shop.
about, we're going to talk about how all the dance choreography and all the stuff that I know nothing about. I'm going to give notes.
Yeah, exactly.
No, we're going to talk about the backstory. Let's start though with your history with CATS. So this was your Broadway debut.
Yes, I made my Broadway debut as Rumpleteazer right out of college. I went to NYU. I grew up watching what year was it? 1998. Okay, yeah. Yeah, the 1998 movie. I can't remember the first time I saw it, but I definitely saw it more than once. And then when I was, I think, maybe in 6th or 7th grade, I went to an art school. I'm from Kentucky. I'm from Lexington, Kentucky. I went to an art school and I was a dance major. And in middle school, the high school was doing a production of CATS. And my dance teacher was choreographing it. And so somehow she convinced them that she needed some of her dancers who were in middle school at the time to be in that production of CATS. So we were just kittens. I don't know. Not a name, not a character. No name, no character, okay. No real understanding of the plot or the lore. We were in Peaks and Pellicles, and that was it.
Oh, that's okay.
And that was it.
The whole time.
She just needed more people, I guess.
Wow.
But what's funny about that production is that there are a couple of people. Lexington, Kentucky is like this great arts town. There's a lot of theater. There's a lot of art. It's where University of Kentucky is. I guess just a lot of young people being there all the time. It's an art hub. But that particular production of CATS, there are people, I have friends who, like Jacob Yates, who now conducts and plays in Hadestown and all over the place. I think he's doing Walking with Bubbles off Broadway. Jess Hendy, also a CATS person. And he was in the show. He was in that production of CATS.
All from Lexington, Kentucky.
All from Lexington.
Wow.
Yeah. Colton Ryan, who's the lead in New York, also from Kentucky, in my grade, one of my friends from when I was a child.
Wow.
It's anyway, a little back history about Lexington and CATS too.
So you did it as a middle schooler.
As a middle schooler.
I have questions about high schools doing it, I guess, but it seems a little sexual.
Positively hilarious. Well, I mean, yeah, it was. But I will say, I'm pretty sure that the Mungo Jerry Rumpleteazer, it was 2 boys.
Interesting.
It was 2 boys. I'm pretty sure.
Did they do the cartwheel section?
I think so. I mean, I want to say yes, because how do you do that number without? But I can't remember for sure. I can always ask.
Is there a video of this?
Oh God, I don't know.
Is there like a YouTube performance?
I don't know. I mean, this was. This
is like handheld camcorder days.
Yeah, it was like 2006 or 7 or something like that.
Yes, there's no iPhone footage for
it. It was definitely the YouTube era. I don't know when that actually began.
No,
but
YouTube is 2009.
Okay, so not quite
2006 maybe. I should know this, but
when everyone was obsessed with watching, people would just make content for YouTube.
2005, 2006. I think is YouTube.
Okay, so it was around then, but I'm not sure if we have a bootleg. Everyone should look up the Scappa Bluegrass slime tutorial CATS.
Okay. So you do it. You're watching the 1998 movie as a dancer. Mm-hmm. You get to be in Peaks and Pellicles. Mm-hmm. And then do you think about it again? Obviously you're progressing towards this career.
Yeah.
Is that something where it's like that CATS dance number is part of this? Or is it just like, oh, that was one thing you did? How does that lead into like, I think more about when you get to do your Broadway debut and you get this, like, there's definitely someone who's like, okay, this is a job and I'm really excited. And there's others who's like, this was my dream role.
Yeah. I mean, it is, I think you'll hear a lot of dancers say it's kind of a dream come true because we grew up watching it. Which is true. But there are a lot of things I think that I grew up, watching or thinking about or loving so much, and then it's like, oh my God, I can't believe this is how it's. Who knows if it was that influence from childhood that got me to this place where now I'm in the right room at the right time. I don't know how woo woo we can go with it, but I don't think I really thought about it. I remember when CATS opened, because I was a replacement. So I joined summer 2017, but they opened in 2016. And I was doing a non-X summer stock. I was still in college doing a non-X summer stock in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, with honestly now some of my best friends. Yeah. You kind of bond for life with people in that situation. But I remember hearing like, oh yeah, CATS open tonight or whatever, and thinking like, oh, man, I think that would be really fun. That would be just like something to dance like that hard all the time. That would be really fun. And then I saw it in November of 2016. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, because my journey to getting to making my Broadway debut is kind of wild. I was in college. I went to school at NYU, so I was here in town, and they post the auditions that are going to happen on Playbill.com, and it was my friend Melody, who eventually ended up doing the tour as well, was like, hey, they're having their big 6-month casting call for CATS. We should go. And non-act, you have to put your name on a list. They don't know if they're going to see you. I saw the show in November and thought, I could be in this. That looks really fun. Like I think I would love to do that. Particularly the Rumpleteazer stuff, just because you get a number. You know what I'm saying? And I auditioned, and it was like a full week of callbacks, and Andy really loves a boot camp style. Felt like summer camp. You just kept coming back the next day with all your new friends that you'd been there with. But it wasn't for anything. They were like, we'll put you in a file. We don't have any tracks opening up. And then 4 or 5 months later, I got called in for Victoria, and my friend Claire booked it from that. But, Claire and I were on the stage at the Neil Simon partnering for like the very, very last like bit of callback for that, which was insane. I was in a Broadway house. I was like, how did I get here? Learning partnering and stuff on the stage, on the raked stage at the Neil Simon. And then a month later, they called me back in for Rumpleteazer stuff, which was, throughout that whole callback process, was my favorite thing that I had done so far. And it was so nerve-wracking. Yeah. Because I wasn't nervous through any of it, but when it came to that final callback of Rumpleteazer, I was like, I just want it so bad. It's so fun. I want to do this so bad. And Lindsay, a casting director, even said, I think she's nervous. And I was like, I'm so nervous. But it all worked out. But that is my journey into CATS.
And then you make your debut.
Yes, I made my debut.
How nerve-wracking is that first day?
Weirdly, not.
Not at all?
I mean, no? It is. It was. I can only speak for myself. I don't know about other people and how they experience these moments, but for me, auditioning is always the most nerve-wracking thing. There's something about being in a room with only a few people doing your thing that just feels so like, I don't know, but I could do it for thousands of people and I'm not nervous at all.
It's so interesting as someone who's never auditioned or even been in, like, I've been in one thing in my life as like a child growing up. I can think, I hear that where it seems like, I feel like I would be way more nervous in that because your lights on, people just judging you and staring. It's like for me, a sports tryout versus the game. It's a little bit less nerve-wracking because the game, it's like, the lights are down. You can't really see the audience most of the time. Yeah. You're just doing your stuff that you've worked and prepared for. Yeah, exactly. Like, in detail versus the tryout, that's exactly right. Yeah, I get it. I never really thought about it from that angle.
It's really you know, at the performance, you've already gotten the job. You don't have anything left to prove. You never have anything to prove. You know, that's also a mindset that you have to work on all the time. But, you know, at that point, you've got the job. This is your role. This is your thing. You get to tell the story now. So there's that level of, oh no, these people are looking at me and judging me and deciding if I can do this or not is just not there.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most nerve-wracking part about it.
So let's talk about the story. You're now telling your story.
What story?
Well, okay, let's start there.
That's the joke with CATS.
Let's start
what
there.
Plot?
Yeah, I mean, totally. That's how this podcast was founded, which was like me trying to add one or write one. If you were on your debut, family's coming, friends are coming. How are you describing the plot to them? Like, what are you telling them? Actually, did you tell them? Like, no one prepped me for the show. That was my challenge with this. Is I went totally knowing nothing but punchlines.
Well, I didn't. Okay, so my parents, I didn't really have to. My mom and my stepdad.
I guess they saw you in middle school, so they're aware.
Also, okay, yes, but my mom was a dancer. My stepdad is a composer for TV and film. You know, like he's also been a performer at some point in his life, and he saw CATS. They both saw CATS, like the original CATS, and so it's one of those things, like if you've seen it, you just kind of understand there's like no way to really explain it.
Were they fans?
No.
So they didn't like it. So they're like, but now I have to go back.
My stepdad definitely did not. He was like, that was the weirdest night of my life. And a cat hit me on the top of the head as they ran through the aisle. And I was like, work.
Yeah.
Okay. But like, you know, we were given liberty. Like Colton would steal people's shoes sometimes. Like you were allowed to just like do. There are some times when we were like, did we cross a line?
Yeah, this is pre-pandemic. You're doing it with like green eyes.
Pre-pandemic, green eyes. I think someone stole some like M&Ms from somebody once and just like ate them in front of them. Like, you know, we're in the audience. Whatever. Why not? We're cats. They're kind of jerks.
I love it.
Yeah.
So you didn't prep them on anything?
Well, no, I didn't have to prep them. I also, you know, well, the example would be like if I had gone home to Kentucky and I saw like my high school friends or something that they didn't do theater. And I was like, what is it about? I think my answer would be like, oh God, I don't know. There's a bunch of cats. You meet them. It's all about being reborn. You know, never mind. Actually, I teach the Jellicle ball to like kids in dance class, and this is how I explain it. Where I'm like, we've come together in this one special night. There's a full moon. Call it the Jellicle moon, and we've all met to decide who gets to be reborn into their new life, and then you just spend the rest of the night meeting every candidate in their song.
So you don't tell the dance students that it's an orgy. The ball's an orgy.
No. Why? They're children. Why would I?
Well, no, I have major issues with children seeing the show, as like I know 2 children going to see the tour tonight.
Yeah, no, I don't mention the orgy part.
I just like it's as I've learned more 100+ episodes in versus what my explanation was. You're seeing the weirdest version of the X Factor. Like you're seeing a trippy version of the X Factor because I saw Leona Lewis and I'm aware that that's what sparked that. But I'm like, yeah, each cat's going up one by one in front of a judge.
Yeah.
To win.
Absolutely.
On one night. It's the finale. We're at the finale and I've got like 12 candidates that are there.
Yeah.
So that's how I explained it.
Yeah.
Then I learned a lot more about it and I'm like, wait a second. There's a lot more going on here. Not necessarily for plot, but like the ball's an orgy and Victoria's dance are her coming of age and Demeter's being abused and like all these things that
and there's always a ton of stuff that like did you leave after the first time you saw it? Did you leave and understand any of those plot points? Yeah,
None.
But that's sort of the thing. Like there are all sorts of things that we are told that inform our performances. That it doesn't necessarily matter if the audience knows it or not. They just know that whatever is happening in front of them is honest or true or whatever.
Totally. Well, that's why this exists. My podcast exists because I can ask all those other questions, which is what I think makes the show kind of great and why I think there's such a massive super fan following, because those super fans can go multiple times and pull a different thing out. Yeah. As someone who's only seen it a handful of times, like on stage, the last time when I saw the most recent tour, after I've done this podcast for so long, I was like, blown away. I was like, whoa, I did not realize the staging was like this. And I didn't pick up that. Now I know too much. It's like almost dangerous. It's like I went too far. I went too far on the other side that now I know too much to also then be confused again. But I do think like the average fan walks out and says, that was some really cool dancing. That was some really great singing.
Yeah.
A little weird.
Yeah, no, you can't deny the talent that you see on stage. I mean, it is truly I'm glad it was my first Broadway show because I was like, and this is just how hard Broadway is. This is what it takes. 8 shows a week, absolutely killing yourself up there, 2.5 hours straight of dancing. And I'm glad I was only 22 because that's not what it's like.
Yeah.
It is never that hard. That is like probably the hardest thing I'll ever do in my life. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It's really rare that as a female dancer, and Rumpleteazer is like pretty tomboyish, so she danced with the boys a lot. It's rare, if like almost doesn't exist other than in this show, that a girl would be dancing like with the boys and doing all the jumps and the turns, and I love that. I love doing that. But I'm also a showgirl who wears heels and does kick lines and cutesy little tap numbers now too. But,
the part with Rumpleteazer, because when I first saw the show, that was pretty much the one thing I remembered, like deeply, was that number.
It's a good number.
I also figured out part of that's probably why is the show is very overwhelming on stage a lot of the time, and your number is like one of the only times during the whole show where it's like it's just you two.
I know.
And so it's like you get the spotlight, the focus, but also as an audience member, it's like I didn't know anything about the twins before this podcast.
Okay.
And then I was like, wow, I did not realize the twins turn first. And the twins do all this stuff and all those things. And it is so fascinating to like see that. But for you all, it's like you got your song, you're singing your name over and over again. Everything is everybody's looking at you in that moment. So
I would also say I feel like the narrative is pretty clear at that point. You're like, we get it. They steal stuff.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. But and it's also like it's kind of a little kitschy of like fun and like they pull some parts through that.
It's also toward the beginning of the first act when maybe your brain hasn't smoothed over yet.
That's true.
So there are lots of things working in our favor.
That is true, and I think I mean it's such a fun number too. And
it is.
It's the one that was stuck in my head for weeks after the show, and still like when I saw the show again, the one that I was singing after, which is I think kind of strange because I think most people would be memory. And I'm like, nope, Uncle Jerry Rumpleteazer.
For me, it's
constantly.
Busta for Jones.
Really? I was going to say.
Okay. The reason it's Busta for Jones, that's when I was making a quick change into we have like a little costume change before Mungo Rump. And that's the only time that I'm not on stage, that we are not on stage. And so I went and I saw my friend Melody in the tour, and I hadn't heard the music, seen any of the shows since our closing night. And I had done it for so long, it's like I started to get nervous during that. It was like Pavlovian. I heard Busta for Jones and I was like sweating in the audience. I was like, here it comes, because our number's next.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why Busta for Jones. It's also, I love that number. It's cute.
That you, I think, are in the minority of that.
It's just silly. I don't know. Skimbleshank's obviously a bop, but.
Yeah. Busta for Jones is currently it's cut from the Royal Caribbean 90-minute version and is generally one of the I think that cat is up there in least favorite when I ask favorite and least favorite.
Yeah, because it's just about the movie also didn't do it justice either. Did they do it in the movie? It's James Corden. Yeah, that's right. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah,
they did a version of it. I enjoyed Busta for Jones only in the sense that I think I just misread this, but it says the whole thing is about how he goes to gentlemen's clubs, which I think in London is a different term than it means in the United States.
Yeah, not like those kind of clubs,
so
but
that
like
was
a fancy,
I interpreted
you have to be a member
the
kind of
American
a club.
version of that, and I was like, that just makes this character way funnier. And so I was like, there's a crime mob.
There's a dystopian version of CATS that I don't think they would ever let anyone make because the production is under lock and key. It has to be done a certain way every single time.
I have thoughts. I have a lot of ways to write CATS too.
Yeah.
And there's been parodies for sure. I've seen there's one here recently, right before the pandemic. There was one I think, and actually I think right after. I didn't get to see either of them, but I heard they were fantastic. but they had to stay away from it because of the amount that they're allowed to do with what's allowed.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to talk about Rumpleteazer's plot. What's her backstory?
Her backstory? I mean, okay, to be fair to myself, it's been a minute since I thought about this.
Now, this doesn't leave you. I know, Kat, still. This is still somewhere deep down in your brain.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, okay, so her plot, her backstory, I don't know. She's just a troublemaker. I mean, she's definitely a tomboy. She is like really crushing hard on Mungo, which some people are like, you guys are siblings, and I'm like, no.
Okay, so yeah, let me ask you I'll ask you some of the questions then. So not siblings.
No.
Okay, the trying to date. Are you together or is it a crush?
Crush, definitely.
Okay, so you haven't started dating. It's more of like you're a friendship that you hope progresses.
Yeah, at least that's my version of it.
Yeah.
It was my version of it. But that's the thing. It's like they give you your 3 words, and I was also a replacement. Mm-hmm. So I learned the whole show in 2.5 weeks, and then I had my put in, and then I made my Broadway debut. Psychotic, I know. But I didn't have the full 5-6 week rehearsal process, 2-week boot camp of crawling around on the floor, character development. As a replacement, there's already kind of like a blueprint for you to step into, and then you make it your own. But that's my version. That's the version that was like very potent to me.
So I think do you see any parent figures from the other cats for you, or either you or Mungo?
I feel like it's like Jellicle, because you look at like the color and the markings on the different cats, and like Jelly's an orange tabby, or no, oh god, you might have to cut this part out because I'm like, I don't remember. I don't know. I mean, you tell me. What are some of the theories of parentage for these?
The one that the current tour is going around. So Brian and Taryn, who played Mungo and Rump, I actually love this. I hadn't thought about it, but they're basically playing that Mungo is Jenny's son,
Jenny Anidot's, yes,
Jenny Anidot's son, and that Rumpleteazer's trying to basically win over her, like the mom's approval, so that they can be together.
That's cute.
I was like, that's fun, right? I hadn't thought about it from that angle, and I really like that.
Yeah, no, I hadn't thought about that either, obviously, doing it every night. But I think that the version, Andy's version that we were really toying around with is that Mungo and Rump are young teens who are kind of like falling in on the wrong side and are helping out McCavity sometimes, and like they're just on the path toward destruction. So the reverence for any adult cat is just sort of not there, except for Rump really loves Gus. I'll say that. Okay. Because I really, really loved Gus. We're right in the front just watching Gus tell his tale at the beginning. And
let me ask you a McCavity question.
Okay, ask.
Do you think, like, I'll give part of my thought process on it. I'm curious if it's right or wrong. Is that I always thought Mungo, Jay, and Rumpleteazer are like, I'm like not really trying to be into crime. We're more of like the stuck up,
mischievous
parents, rich parents, kids are kind of doing what they want because they can, versus actually trying to be part of crime.
Yeah.
Or are they working their way into McCavity's like legitimate crime gang, and they're just like low level employees trying to build their way up? Like, which version of it is it for you?
I think that Mungo is probably closer to the McCavity side of things, like actually going bad. Rump really has a crush on Mungo, wants to be in on all of that, but isn't at her root and at her core. She's changing her personality for a boy.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're kids, and they're really... they're also trying, for some reason, as teenagers, throwing their hat in the ring of like, it's time for us to be reborn into a new life.
But did you play that as like, this is my chance to be reborn? Or was it like, I kind of interpreted your number as like a disruption like Tuggers, where it's like, it's kind of like all right, let me just show you what we can do. Like you all.
I mean, it is a disruption because before there's all sorts of rustling and a police siren and everyone. The reason we're on stage by ourselves is because everyone thought it was McCavity and they run away.
Okay.
And it's us being little jerks. And we have like the loot, our little bags full of stuff. There was a siren. We just robbed a place and we showed up to the party and scared everybody away, and we think that's hilarious. And it's sort of this breaking of the fourth wall. We're not performing for anybody. There are no cats around us. It's for the audience, truly. And we're like, what's up? This is who we are.
Yeah, but that's kind of why I didn't think you were auditioning, because it's like you're not performing in front of a judge.
There are moments in the ball. This is what I was talking about with, there are things that we are told in rehearsal and that motivate us to do certain bits of choreography and things that the audience doesn't necessarily like think about or notice.
Well, there's definitely fans that do.
Well, that's true.
Most people aren't going to pick it up on it.
There's a moment in the ball when and I think you're right. I don't think it's like truly motivated, like we want to be reborn, but that's what the night is about. And it's sort of us just centering ourselves and trying to impress Deuteronomy, who has all of the power. But there are a couple of moments. I don't even know what this section is called, but Mungo and Rump come forward and like do a little dance specifically for Deuteronomy and God, I wish I could remember this cat's name. It's definitely a kitten. Jacob Carr played him on Broadway. Lots of toe touches.
Tumble Brutus?
No, not Tumble Brutus.
Kitten? Alonzo?
Not Alonzo.
Carbuckety?
Thank you. See, this is me
100 plus episodes.
100 plus episodes. This is my
slowly getting there.
Yeah, I often think about what my brain got rid of when I like put a new Broadway show into it, because there's no space for all of it. Yeah. What information have I forgotten?
I feel about that way with this podcast. It's like, what have I lost because I've learned way more about all of these cats than anybody needs to possibly know.
Anyone ever needed to know.
Yeah.
But, there's a moment Carbuckety will come through and he'll do a bunch of toe touches and things for Deuteronomy, and then we'll come through. Actually, I think it's in the reverse. We come through first, we do a little dance, Carbuckety comes through and steals our spotlight, and that's like a what the moment.
Wow.
Which no one would have ever noticed except for us, except for I would get the note all the time that's like, it's too angry. I'd be like, well, he's stealing my spotlight.
Yeah, should be mad. Right? Taking your chance.
Yeah.
I love that. Those are the moments that, like, again, if you go, for people that are like the super fans that do go multiple times, they're watching just one cat. Like, they're going to watch just one person's performance to see those things. Whereas, like, again, your moment is one of the few moments where everyone gets to focus on just you two.
Yeah. I had someone really, really sweet at the stage door. They were like, oh my God, we couldn't stop watching you. We really loved your performance. I was like, oh, thank you so much. And they're like, yes, and your facial expressions just reminds me so much of clowning. And I was like, okay, yes. Which I take that as a compliment. But also I'm like, wow, I guess I was made for musical theater because I am a clown, actually. We have all the face paint on. I don't know. But I
have a lot of questions on, I don't even know what clowning is. So
it's like a specific, someone will have something to say about how I've described it. But it's like you can go to clown. Hugh Jackman has been to clowning school. It's like learning. It's like a style of performance. And learning how to. It's like taking like burlesque or something. It's like a style of performing that has all of these. I'm not doing this justice.
Facial expressions is like a big part of it.
Yeah, I guess. I think it's over exaggerated storytelling.
I live in such a different world
with humor.
A completely different world from this. We'll be back for more of this catastrophe after a short break. Let's hard pivot from clowning.
Hard pivot
from clowning to New York, New York. I want to hear, I know you're in it hasn't opened yet. Like when we're recording this, you're early on. Like what is, for everyone who's in the city, going to be able to come to see, like what can they expect from this show?
It's going to be the best thing you see all year.
Oh, love it.
Yeah. I'm honestly welling up with tears every day in rehearsal because it's so special. It's a love letter to New York. It really is. It feels, it's the new classic. It's not a revival, but the time period, it's in the 40s, late 40s after World War II, and it feels like the golden age of Broadway. But we're making it now, and so the things, it's really special, and it's all about the city. And I don't want to give too much away because it's brand new.
Totally. So how much, because there's obviously the movie.
Yes. How
much of the, like, for someone that sees the movie, it's new, it's not just the movie, like how much are they going to recognize versus how much is going to be like net new? Like, should somebody see the movie first, or is it going to be, does it even matter?
I'll be honest, I have not seen the movie.
Me neither.
It's actually really hard to find. I tried to watch it before rehearsal started, and it's really hard to find. It didn't exist anywhere. I didn't even know where to find it to purchase it to watch.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't think it streams. I think it's like a physical.
Yeah, go get a DVD and then find a DVD player.
I don't even know if it's that advanced. But I do know that this is a film that. Like older generations really love.
This is De Niro, right?
Yep. Yeah, a really young De Niro and Liza Minnelli. But it's loosely based. It's inspired by the film, but I can't say because I haven't. Version. It's not a staged version of the film. Yeah, but I haven't seen the film. It's just what they said, and I said, great. I'm so glad I didn't even watch it.
So I don't want to have you give it away, but is there any moments from your rehearsal or anything else, like, for everyone walking into CATS, they don't know what they're going to go see.
Right.
Is there anything that you should be like, okay, you're going to love this one part, or be ready for this thing? Like, what's the one, like, moment, or can you not give anything away?
I'm not. There are definitely moments, yeah. But I'm not going to say anything. I'm not even telling, like, I haven't even told my best friend or my boyfriend. I want it to be a true surprise because it is, you will recognize every location that we go to in the story because it's New York. And so, it's a love letter to New York. It's about New Yorkers. It's just like it. I personally think this is one of the greatest places in the world. And we certainly think that in the show. And I don't know. Yes, there are. I'm so excited for certain things to be on stage. Like I can't wait for our sits probe. I can't wait to hear our music played by the orchestra. The set is gonna be crazy amazing.
Yeah, it's at the St. James, right? Such a cool theater.
Yeah, it's at the St. James. Which I've never worked at the St. James, but I was at the Schubert across the street on 44th for Hello Dolly, and it's such an iconic Broadway street. You know what I mean? It's kind of narrow. There are so many shows just on one block. It's all kind of crammed in there. You're like, yeah, I'm on Broadway.
It's got that like old school sign too.
It's got the old school the old school sign, everything in lights outside. Yep.
Well, I cannot wait to see it. And then we'll link how to go find tickets and everything for everybody who's in New York, who's fortunate enough to be able to go see you all. Pumped for the show. It's so cool to hear. I always kind of joke, is there any other cats in it? Any other former cats? Just you?
I think it's just me, actually.
The only cat.
For the first time in a long time.
Yeah, right? Because usually, like the other shows you've done, you've been with many other previous cats.
Yeah, and I'm really thinking hard because I don't want to. Yeah, I don't think so. We have some older like Broadway legends that have been in the business for a long time, but I don't think either of them are in CATS. So I think it's just me.
Just you. You got to hold down the legend of CATS for everybody.
Well, Len, look, I'm doing my best.
Yeah. Okay, let's do some rapid fire CATS questions to get us to our most important question, which I know you're going to agree with me on. So I'm excited for that most important question. Who, if you could go on for one night only in CATS, any track, male, female, forget if it's like you could do it, you could sing it, you could dance it. Just if you could just do one night, who would you want to go on as?
Oh, Bomb Ballerina for sure.
I love it.
Do people say that a lot?
I feel like, so it's a wide range of answers for this. And what I've noticed, like the psychology behind it, I've noticed is people either pick something that's so far away from what they could like do. It's like not them at all. So it's like, I want to go do that. Or it's like exactly them and they want to do that type of track.
Yeah, I'm too short for Bomb. I'm only 5'3", and height has a lot to do with what age you can play in theater, which is crazy. But like if you're short, you like unless everyone's short around you, it's probably not going to be an adult on stage. But Bomb, it would just because it would be fun to dance and sing and like do all of that.
Yeah. Her and Tugger are two very common answers.
Honestly, no. I would, if it was a male track, I would pick Skimbleshanks.
Skimbleshanks?
Yeah.
I mean, fun number.
Bop. Absolute bop.
Yeah.
Best number in Act 2.
I think I agree. I'm trying to think of what else is in there. It's Gus.
Memory.
I mean, everyone's very well aware of that. Like, Memory's great. There's no doubt. It's iconic.
Outside of.
But it's.
Skimble's a bop.
I agree. Okay, who are your favorite and least favorite cats? Forget actors. Take the actors out of it.
Okay.
Characters.
Favorite and least favorite. Okay, favorite. Probably Gus. I have a real soft spot in my heart.
Love it.
For the elderly and the sweet.
Again, this is going to go well for my last question.
It sure is. But.
What about least favorite?
I think that Jenny Anydots is. I think that's it. I think that it's Jenny Anydots.
I love it. You're not trying to win her approval. It's like nope. I'm over
and I
her.
think it's because she's a tightwad and she's like very prim and I don't know. I think speaking specifically as like character and also like I don't know maybe in my real life I'm like ugh.
Yeah.
I don't like that energy.
Don't need the mom character.
Relax.
Yeah. Yeah, you're very more Rumpleteazer than Jenny.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. What's your favorite song in the show?
Favorite song in the show? I already talked about Bustifer being like stuck in my head all of the time. But I think probably, now I'm like trying to like go through the show and think about the things that were really fun to sing. Okay, not Skimbleshanks. It's going to be Skimbleshanks. Yeah. It's fun to sing.
What part of the train were you? Did you build part of the train?
I was in the front I wasn't holding the light. 10th Mile was holding the light. I think I had like an umbrella in the front.
Okay, you were one of the spinning.
Yeah. Nothing heavy. I remember Zach, who was my mungo, had this like huge metal wheel in the back, and he like stabbed himself in the leg.
Oh God!
It was like actually dangerous.
There's some parts to that I'm like, it's big. Yeah, it's huge.
I was in the front. I had like a little spinning, and we would just bop side to side.
Okay, my fun question would be, which cat, since you're going to be doing a New York love letter here in New York, which cat do you think would be the best New Yorker?
Oh, nice. Are we talking like the I'm walking here New Yorker or
however you want to interpret it? I've thought a lot about this and I have like a bunch of different answers depending on how you interpret it.
Okay. Well, first and foremost, I think that Rump would be a great New Yorker because she wouldn't take crap from anybody.
I think that I agree with that.
I think that Jelly Lauren would be the good like new girl in town type energy. But obviously she's older in the show in Cats, but like she, you know what I mean? She's got that like very sweet from a cornfield somewhere moved to New York City energy. Who else? Tugger would be a really great New Yorker and like work the drag scene.
I think I placed a lot of these people in different parts of the city, which was
Tugger was in Chelsea.
Tugger's in Chelsea, West Village area, Greenwich area. Yeah. I have Gus somewhere on the Upper East,
East,
maybe Upper West. You don't think he's on one of those two sides of town
because he's a theater cat. I think he's an Upper West.
Okay, sider. But I knew he was north.
Upper East to me is very old,
more
but
Bustifer.
Also very moneyed. Yeah, that's Bustifer Jones.
Okay, so Bustifer's east. Gus is west.
I think Grizz lives like on St. Mark's.
Yeah. Yep, Grizz is definitely a New Yorker, but this is like she's in a part of New York.
Too long.
Yeah,
she's been here.
Exactly.
She pays $30 in rent every month.
We're stabilized. Rent stabilized for so long.
Stabilized since God knows how long.
I think Skimble is the one I don't think can be in New York because the MTA doesn't work. So I don't think that he could be here.
He's a commuter.
Yeah, but I think you could have. Mistopheles has got to be somewhere in.
Okay, can I take my answer back about favorite song? It's Misto. And also a part that I would want to play is also Misto. That was my. I had a crush on the 1998 Mistopheles from the movie, which
Jacob
is
Brandt?
Yes. Yeah, big crush. But like specifically on the character Mistopheles, which I don't know what that says about me, and maybe I should go to therapy, but
we're not going to get into what cats and therapy could lead to. There's a lot there.
Just I don't know. Anyway, okay, sorry.
I have
multiple answers because I got
we can keep placing them. I think Bomb and Demeter and Bomb are definitely in the city somewhere. They're probably living together in. I'm trying to think. There's like an Alonzo. Like some of the kittens I think are over in Murray Hill.
Yeah, the kittens are definitely in Murray Hill. That's good. They're like with
and then
the yuppies.
I'm trying to think who else. I did spend way more time thinking about this when I wrote it down. Who am I missing?
Mungo Rump would be like on the Lower East Side. They're like cool kids.
Yeah. And I had Victoria like in Lincoln Center. Like she's definitely a Juilliard or something. She's like clearly.
She is a Juilliard.
Yeah.
Syllabub is the Syllabub is like possibly a reflection of Grizabella as like a child. Mm-hmm. I don't know if anyone's ever talked about that as a whole thing. But I don't know. Where would she be? I think Syllabub's on the Upper East Side. For sure.
Yeah, I could see that.
For sure.
And then who are we missing? Where's Old Deuteronomy?
I think that Dude lives in Inwood.
Okay. Who's in the Bronx? Is anybody in the Bronx?
Who's in the Bronx?
Is anybody in Brooklyn? Who's in Williamsburg?
Who is in Williamsburg? Probably like Carbuckety and Tumble Brutus.
Yeah.
And like more of the teens are in like trendy Brooklyn.
Yeah. I feel like the twins are in like Long Island City.
Yeah, I can see them in Long Island City.
Or like Hoboken. They're like on the other side. They're kind of like in their own.
Honestly, because they're psychic and they can see the future, they're in the neighborhood that no one thinks to move to yet. Right. But it's on the come up, and they just know that.
They've already bought.
They're
gonna sell soon.
Yeah, exactly.
Buy the next one. Yeah. Okay, I got it. All right, let's get to the main question.
Okay.
I've argued I don't think Grisabella is the right Jellicle choice. So who are you going to argue for? And let's hear the reason why you're sending that person up.
I think it kind of goes without question that it's Gus. And if you've ever listened to his song or watched Christopher Gurr, or honestly any sweet old man like sing this song with a little palsy, why would you not choose Gus? Gus has been around and he's sweet, and I obviously have such a soft spot for older folks, but I don't know. I obviously I understand the story of redemption and why we choose Grizabella and why Victoria is the one, the pure white, like she's like the representation of purity, and also, you know, her whole journey of loss of innocence on stage, whatever. I understand why we picked Grizz, but personally, I would have picked Gus.
I love that. It's like I get it, blah, 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 but this is my choice. The
message
totally
is probably stronger with Grizabella.
I think it depends on how you interpret the heaviside layer as well, because...
Okay, are you about to tell me that, like, it's like what are you about to say?
The message is clear in the sense of like the redemption story, and like, again, I'm gonna go back to my X Factor. Her pre-song package is gonna be great because you're gonna get the whole like, look at how hard my life was, and then let me sing my memory song, and like I have a compelling final performance at the end of the show before everyone opens up voting. So I get that, but I also like, to me it wasn't a like necessarily reborn. It also felt like Old Deuteronomy is like, you're killing one of them. So I'm like, if you take the reborn part, I was like, which cat are we going to murder? And my thing is like, make her next year's choice. Let her spend some time with her family. You get the whole redemption story, but then it's like, hey, I'm going to redeem myself. I'm going to bring you back in. We're going to accept you. And then it's just like, and bye. Versus being like, we're going to redeem. I'm going to accept you. Spend a year. Go to some birthday parties.
Yeah.
Hang out with your kittens and your children that I'm sure are part of the tribe.
Yeah.
And then go next year.
Yeah. There are also, the whisperings of like Silbub is.
Yeah, or Victoria potentially.
And Victoria's her child, like.
It's like high and bye. That's my part that I'm like, I can buy the story arc, but why does she need to go right away?
It is a valid point and a good question. I in my mind, though, I always was taking it as like, no, they will be reborn into their next life. So it's like they are shedding this.
But then you're going to lose your mom and get like Baby Grizz, which sings the opening number. Like you're going to get a child version of your mother. Like this seems like, again, like you're getting a.
No, I mean, the whole thing is like kind of an acid trip the whole time.
Totally.
Like, I don't think we can place such practical rules.
No, that's what I've been trying to do. I've been trying to put plot and story and like very thoughtful moments to a very show that doesn't do that.
High concept art.
So
with random plot points in there.
Very much so. It's weird to me. The biggest part of learning from this podcast is the things that everyone accepts as fact in this show are some very strange things. Yeah. I'm like, how is that? Like, we don't know this part of the plot. This is up for interpretation, but everyone is for sure that Demeter's being abused. I'm like, that's the one sort, like, everybody's positive of it. So it seems like a little strange that we've just accepted certain parts of it. And sometimes I'm like, really, that's the part we're going to accept? Like, not a whole arc of a story or what's happening here? Or is this relationship here? It's like, nope, we're going to accept that part.
Yeah, but I think that a lot of that has to do with the physicality of the characters and how, you know what I mean? Demeter is very like nervous and skittish, and it's like our whole, and you're like, oh yeah, no, I get that's okay. No, I understand.
I totally get it. It's just from someone who analyzes this purely from the plot story, from the writing, versus the like, I've met fans who are like, oh my God, but that choreography, did you see that number? I'm like, yeah, I don't know what that means. Like, I mean, I saw it.
Yeah, but what did it make you feel when you saw it? That's kind of like the dealings with when you start looking at dance heavy pieces, because it's such a like the highest form of expression, the most abstract form of expression. It's more about what it made you feel and think about versus the hard line plot point. Do you know what I mean?
No, I see what you're saying. I think the challenge for me as someone who doesn't have any background on it or ability to do any of it is most of the time when I see it, it's bringing a plot point forward. Mm-hmm. It's like hopefully helping with the plot point, or it's a dance number. I'm just like, that is incredibly like what talent. I'm just usually saying it going like, that takes an incredible amount of skill and practice and something that most people can't do. Mm-hmm. And so I'm usually walking away from it from that standpoint of like, that looks so hard. Not like, and that's where I'm like, as again, not a non-dancer. It's the same thing with singing. I'm like a non-singing. When someone belts, I'm just like, I know I can't do that. Like I know most people can't do that. Yeah. That's impressive. And so I see it from that standpoint, probably more, and maybe this is like more of a judgment of me of like oh, it made me feel like, oh, I got the part of that number that they're trying to get. Like choreography is going to go over my head, but I'm more of just like, wow, that was impressive. That was skillful. That took a lot of practice. That is peak dancing of someone doing a skill that most people can't do. I feel like that is a good, I feel like that's, as someone who loves sports and growing up watching a lot of sports and I think that's like that's a very reasonable, probably very common experience watching. But then like, me as an artist, I'm like, but what did it make you feel? When someone sang that song, didn't it make the little hairs on your neck stand up and it tapped into your emotions? But it's also like, I think that's how I experience the world. It is. Well, so, and it is fascinating being more involved in this community now with this podcast and other things I've done. Is like I have friends who are theater people, and we're either former performers, like or just like very into it. Performer. And there's some like I have a friend that pretty much starts crying in every show, and including shows. I'm like, why are you crying? Like, why are you crying?
Yeah.
Like what's like I don't get. And it's that same thing. It's like they're having that exact emotional reaction to the dance number, the singing.
Yeah.
And I'm much more of the like I constantly reminding my like deep Broadway friends, being like, you're from Lexington, I'm from Indiana. I'm like, what is my like random friend in Indiana who doesn't know anything? Like, is this going to be enjoyable for them?
Yeah.
And a lot of the times it's like that really amazing theater is great, but it's probably not what they are going to enjoy or that they want to see. Because if they come to Broadway, they're going to want to see something more funny and uplifting or like more musical.
Come see New York, New York. It's the show for you.
Perfect. I mean, it's going to be on that list. There are other things that are right now where I'm like, I've seen some really well done, dramatic, thoughtful, heavy theaters play. And I'm like, I don't think I should send my friend to that, like
you're not going to be like Leopoldstadt, go see that.
That was
the
one
new Tom
recently.
Stoppard.
Yeah,
it's
amazing, but heavy. So I think that there is a little bit of the like, I go in, even with CATS, like I go in being like, I can't do it. Like you're saying, 2.5 hours nonstop dancing the whole time. The first time I saw it, I said that is an athletic feat.
Yes.
Beyond belief. And I didn't know about the rake stage at the time or any of this stuff. I just was like, I was exhausted watching you all. Yeah. And that is to me like a talent, a skill of like at the top level of the profession. And I kept going like, that's like going to a Rangers game or a Knicks game. I'm like, you're watching the best of the best do what they're doing in something that like, I could go try to dance CATS. I could go try to play a basketball game or a hockey game, but I can't do it at that speed, at that scale, at that level. Right. And that's kind of where when I walked out of the show, I felt more of that. Yeah. Than it was like, oh my God, the turns, how technical or like. I wonder too, did that help or hurt the very loose plot that existed? Because maybe if there was a stronger plot, we'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, no, obviously they're working so hard, but for this very obvious purpose. I don't know. Now I'm like, is there such a thing as too much dancing in a show? I think probably not. I think the question is like what people are going to see. And this is why like you can't argue against CATS. It's been running for 42 years. Like it's
truly.
But there are other shows where I'm like, some other shows I saw that were really good that closed really quickly. I'm like, I saw that there was missing mass appeal at times. And I'm like, I thought it was good, but I know that like there's a lot of people I would go with that would just probably not enjoy that. Right. And so I think that there is a moment of that where the like hearing from people who are very in the industry is different than hearing from the people very out of the industry.
100%.
And I'm now blurring that line, and that's what makes it really fascinating for me. So anyways, that's a huge tangent. I will say I did see a very heavy dance show that you were also in that I was very moved by in the sense of like, wow, that is, again, same thing. I was like, this is incredible dancing. Loose plot. I felt more plot than CATS, but still much more of like the plot being told through the dance numbers than it was through like a storytelling of it.
Yeah, definitely. Also, and Only Gold at MCC. Yes. Also, Andy Blankenbuehler.
Yes.
Like truly stunning choreography. Also, one of the hardest things I've ever done. Yeah. Possibly because I'm a little bit older now. But people have asked like, what's harder, CATS or Only Gold? I actually can't decide. Only Gold was really tough. It was just nonstop. We did not leave that stage. And I think, every time you're on the stage, if it's a heavy dance piece, you have to be laser focused on what your intention and your purpose is on stage, because you are yourself at a conceptual level moving the story along in this way. So it has to be really specific. Yeah, I mean, I count myself lucky that I got to be a part of it, but yeah, that was also a crazy dance show.
I think part of that is why you probably get, even in the CATS world, you get some like, I didn't get it, or I loved it. And I think some of it is that. And that's where, what I think the beauty of theater is that it doesn't all have to be for everybody.
No.
And it probably shouldn't be.
No, I actually think that's a sign of good art, is if it's pretty polarizing. Some people will love it. Some people will hate it. that's it.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm the least interested in something that everyone's like, yeah, no, it's fine, and most people are just like, yeah, it's fine. Like, I don't know, I don't care about that. I want something that people either love or they hate. That's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of that out there right now too. I love it. That's so fun. Well, this has been amazing. I appreciate anybody that doesn't vote Grisabella, so thank you for continuing to help the numbers here.
At no shade to Grisabella, made me Paris, made me cry pretty much every night singing that song. It's really emotional.
She was unbelievable.
But you know, if we were gonna go another direction, obviously it's Gus.
Yeah, I told Mamie that. Her performance was almost made me change my mind, but it didn't. At the end of the day, it didn't.
But in the end, it didn't.
I told her that. I cannot wait to see New York. So we will link to how to go for everybody in New York who can make it, or anybody visiting should go see it. It opens on April 26th.
Yes, that's right.
How can everyone else stay in touch with you? Social media?
Social media. Yeah, follow me on Instagram. I should say this. I just went viral on TikTok.
I know. I shared it. I saw it.
Oh, yeah, baby. Like, I've never made a TikTok before in my life, but
Was it your very first TikTok, right? It was like...
No, there were two others, but I wouldn't say that those were actually involved or engaged with what TikTok is interested in or even about. But yeah, I just kind of dubbed
you did
Rihanna's Super Bowl performance with the Jellicle ball, and then someone asked for Skimble Shanks, obviously, and did that one too. And
both went viral.
And I can say I now understand why people are addicted to social media, because the morning I woke up, the day after I posted it, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, you had like thousands of likes and
media. Yeah. So
we will link your handles. Everyone can go find the viral TikTok. I also reposted that on TikTok because it's definitely made me laugh. I was like, the minute I saw it, I saw your name too. I was like, wait, was this you? Like,
it was.
I wasn't sure because I hadn't followed you, hadn't seen, because you hadn't posted much on there before.
I basically didn't exist on TikTok. I was just a voyeur. I was just there to watch on TikTok. And then
you had one idea. And that's how it starts. And that's how it starts.
That's how it starts. You got to have the idea first, and then influencers.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm waiting on my sponsorships and things to come through.
Please, anybody that you that is listening to this, reach out.
Yeah, thanks.
Send a message. Send some product or whatever.
Yeah, whatever you want to reach out to my.
Like, subscribe. We'll try to promote
tell me what content you want to see next.
Well, this has been so fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And thanks everyone else for listening to this episode of The Wrong Cat Died, the podcast breakdown of the catastrophe. To follow along, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or anywhere else you listen to podcasts. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok at The Wrong Cat Died, or check out our website, thewrongcatdied.com.